image processing. Particularly, what role NumPy plays in image processing. Okay, so let us start. Actually, let us import NumPy as NP, and we also need to import the visualization package matplotlib. Import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt. So we need to have the matplotlib.pyplot as plt, which is a visualization software, so that we can see the images which is being produced by NumPy, and NumPy will be used for generating images. Okay, so either you can use yesterday's notebook, or you can create a new notebook based on your choice, and we'll start working on this NumPy. Okay, shall I proceed? Okay, now let us start creating a image using NumPy. We will start with creating an image using NumPy. So NumPy arrays can be used to create images, and these images are created basically by the matplotlib package. So there is a function in matplotlib called imshow. Imshow is the image show, which takes a two-dimensional NumPy array as an input and converts that two-dimensional NumPy array into a image. So that is what the connection between these two packages is. So you create NumPy arrays, and these NumPy arrays will be passed on to matplotlib. The matplotlib will convert the arrays into pictures or whatever we are trying to do. So let us start with creating an array. N is equal to 4. A is equal to, yesterday we talked about np.reshape, np.reshape in bracket np.linspace, np.linspace, np.reshape, np.linspace 0 comma 1 comma n to the power of 2. To the power of is represented by stars. N star star 2 comma in bracket n comma n, a matrix. So A is equal to np dot reshape open bracket np dot linspace. So yesterday we talked about linspace. We have to give start and end, and then this what you call step, so that it can create a array. So it will create a array. Okay, let us run and see what array it has created. Print A. See, it has created an array between 0 and 1 with this is how it created it. I think it is 1 2 3 4, 4 by 4 matrix, 4 rows and 4 columns matrix has been created by NumPy. So it has created a array. Now this array we will pass it on to the matplotlib IM show and see what image we can generate using these numbers. Okay. Now let us start with PLT. PLT dot figure. We are creating this size of the figure. Fixed size is equal to open bracket 12 comma 5. So we are creating a figure with 12 comma 5 size. Okay. PLT dot subplot. PLT dot subplot in bracket 131. So we are creating a subplot because we want to print other plots also. Now, the command im show, image show is the command which is there in matplotlib that takes the input of an array and converts into a image, a 2D image. The input may be either be actual RGB or a 2D scalar data. It uses anything. You can give RGB data or any data. The im show will convert it into a image. So A, we have created a matrix called A. C map, the color mapping. C map refers to color map. So let us say we will go for a simple gray color, grayscale map, comma. C map is color mapping. We are giving a grayscale color mapping. Interpolation. Interpolation is equal to nearest interpolation. We are saying use the nearest interpolation, and then PLT dot x-ticks, the x-axis. X-ticks will be the x-axis is range of n. PLT dot y-ticks, the y-axis ticks or the values will be again range comma n, and PLT dot title. PLT dot title. This is like you want to give a title to the graph. So gray scale map. We are giving it as a grayscale map, comma y is equal to 1.02, comma font size is equal to 12. So we have created a 2D array and using that 2D as a array as an input to create a image. Now let us run the code and see what image it creates. See, it created a grayscale image. Oh, there is spelling mistake. Huh? Oh, double T, not double T, single T. PLT title, TITLE. That was a space error. So we get the title. So this is how NumPy plays a role. We have created a array, two-dimensional array, and this two-dimensional array we created a grayscale map using the what we call the code of matplotlib. Matplotlib IM show. Image show is a very important function in image processing. You constantly see these things in various image processing where NumPy is used to scale the images, reduce the what you call size of the images, so that it can be inputted and run on large scale computing, and then it will be taking less time because the more smaller you give it, the lesser time it will take to process. So this is a method of creating a map using what you call a simple NumPy 2D array. We are using a simple NumPy 2D array to create a image. So NumPy 2D array has been created using linspace and reshape, and using that matrix we have created a image. So all of you got the image? Okay, so this is what happens. So if you want to change the colors also, you can simply change the colors. That's not a problem at all. You can see here. I'll just copy paste this code. So let us say we'll copy paste this code. Control C. Oh, sorry. Control C, and then paste it down. We'll make it as subplot 132. I'm making the change as subplot 132. Color map from gray, we will change it to Verdis. And interpolation, we'll keep it as nearest. White ticks, we change it as, we don't want to change the y-axis. So let's put it as square brackets like this. Now this is a Verdis color map. We are creating a Verdis color map. I just copy pasted the code from subplot. I changed the subplot to 132. Then I have given the same EM matrix which I have created. CMap is vertex. I changed from gray to vertex. Interpolation I kept it as nearest. Range of X ticks is there. And I made a change to Y ticks. So common y-axis we are taking. So we don't need to specify. Let us leave it blank. And then you can add plt dot show. plt dot show. This will show both the images. plt dot show will show the both the images. Oh, what this color map didn't come, huh? Okay, so it is pointing to some change of color. So what this is not a valid name. Viridis, Viridis. I made a spelling mistake, so let me correct it. Viridis. Now you can see the Verdis color map. Initially, we created a gate. So based using the same array, we created a second type of color map. Using the same array, the array which we have created on top, using the 4 by 4 matrix which we have created, and we are using the same 4 by 4 matrix as an input, and we created two different types of images. So this is how NumPy plays a very important role in image processing. So all of you can look at it. So just copy from subplot, change the subplot from 131 to 132. Then C map is, color map is Verdis. We change the color map to Verdis. And then interpolation, we kept it as nearest. X dot X ticks is range of N. Y ticks, again, we are giving an empty thing. And then PLT dot title. PLT dot title, we have given it as Verdis color map. And then we did the PLT dot show to show the color map which is created by the NumPy as well as Matplotlib packages. Okay, all of you got it? Okay. Shall I move forward? Okay, now we can also create one more thing using the same matrix. I just copy the thing here, copy the second one, Control C, and then paste it below. Sorry, I think I cut it. Huh? Control V. Sorry. Let me select the second version. Control C. We will copy it as Control V. Now we are going to change this to 133. Subplot 133. Only change we are going to do is we will change the interpolation to bicubic interpolation. So that is the only change we are going to make. Interpolation as bicubic. So you got the three images side by side of the same ND array, same 2D array, which we have created on top. So we initially created a two-dimensional array using np.reshape and np.linspace, and that we have used that input array, the array as the input, and then we created three different types of plots. So matplotlib in along with what we call NumPy helps you to work with this type of image processing. Both of them are required when you are dealing with image processing. So in the third plot, I only changed the interpolation to bicubic. And these type of scalings and all we use in image processing when we are trying to understand images in the raw format. So we have to convert the image into a raw format so that we can process that data and pass it into an algorithm. So that is what is very important in this thing. All right, shall I continue? So three different plots from using the same array of matrix which I have created using NumPy, a 4x4 matrix, and we passed it into three different color maps. So this is how NumPy works. Now let us create one more matrix. Let us create one more matrix and understand how what all we can do with this NP. It's very simple to create structural images in Python using NumPy and Matplotlib. N is equal to 500. N is equal to 500. B is equal to np dot random dot random. First one is the library reference, second one is the function reference in bracket n comma n. So 500 by 500 matrix we are creating. So print B. So just see what we have created. See, it created a very large matrix of 500 by 500, 500 rows and 500 columns. That's why it is showing dot, 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 and it has randomly created this matrix between 0 and 1. Using the values between 0 and 1, it randomly created a matrix. Now we can convert this matrix into an image. We can convert this matrix into image, like what we did in the top. Or we can save this also into an image. We can save this into a image. Let us say I want to see what is this image. pl.imshow. Image show is the function. B comma cmap is equal to, oh sorry, cmap is equal to, let us say gray. We will put it as gray. Okay, interpolation is equal to nearest. Okay, so let us see what this image is created. I'm just seeing what is the actual image it will create. Plt dot show. See, it created an image like this. It created an image like this. See here, with a simple thing, we have created a gray image. With only simple, what you call this one, or let us say CMAP is Inferno. We will make it as Inferno. CMAP is Inferno. Let us see what change it brings to the diagram. So see, Inferno, it looks like this, fire, like volcanic fire. So here we created a multi-dimensional matrix using n is equal to 500 and np dot random, 0 to 1. Random will take values between 0 to 1. It will take a random values between 0 and 1, and then we put it into an image show, and then we showed we created an image called Inferno. So NumPy arrays, when passed into matplotlib IM show, will convert the arrays into images. Will convert the arrays into images. This is the one important thing you need to understand. Okay, so this is where NumPy is widely used in image processing. So all of you got this, right? How to create a simple array, and that array will be pushed into the image processing. Okay, can I move forward? Okay, shall I move forward? So we can save this image. You can also save this image in your direct, what you call Google Drive. So the saving is very easy here. plt.imsave. So let us say I want to save this image. plt.imsave. Image save. Name it as the test.png, portable number graphic, comma. Then the name which we have given there is B, comma. That's all. We can just save it as B. Sorry, as test.png. plt.imsave test.png. If you go to my drive, if I go to my drive, Google Drive, I will see this image saved there. The same image will be saved in that Google Drive. Okay, shall I move forward? Now we will go with three-dimensional array. We have created a two-dimensional array earlier and we have plotted it. But we see three-dimensional images also very important in data. So let us go and create a three-dimensional array with RGB. You know, right? Red, green, and blue, the three color scale. Now let us create a three-dimensional array, and we will use that three-dimensional array, and then we will create an image out of those three-dimensional array. N is equal to 4, N is equal to 4, C is equal to np dot random. The first one is the library name, the second one is the function name, in brackets n comma n comma 3, n comma n comma 3. So n is equal to 4, np dot random in brackets n comma n 3. So we are creating 4 by 4 matrix. Let us see what is this type of matrix we are looking at. Print C. So we are looking at a matrix C, four matrices are created. So we have randomly created using the rand function 0 to 1. It created a three-dimensional array, three-dimensional NumPy array, three-dimensional NumPy array. Okay, all of you have created the matrix, array, NumPy array. Can I move forward? A three-dimensional array has been created with randomly selected numbers between 0 and 1. A three-dimensional array has been created with random numbers between 0 and 1. Okay. Now let us start the image processing. Now here we will start using RGB colors. We will start using the red RGB thing, which is one of the important thing in image processing. RGB, red, green, and blue, right? So let us set the figure size. PLT dot figure is equal in bracket fig size is equal to open bracket, fig size is equal to open bracket 12 comma 4. PLT dot figure open fig size 12 comma 4, or let us say 12 comma 3, because we will create three images. Okay. Now PLT dot subplot, PLT dot subplot 141. We are giving the subplot number. R is equal to some question. Shouldn't be a 4-row, 4-column arrays? No, it is only, see, we are creating 4 matrices of 4 by 3. R is equal to C dot copy. As we talk about, we can copy the matrix. R is equal to C dot copy. Okay. Now R square bracket colon comma again colon comma square bracket 1 comma 2 is equal to 0. So basically what I am trying to do here is I am setting green and blue coordinates equal to 0. I am setting green and blue coordinates equal to 0. That means this will only give us red color. Okay, only red will be displayed. So I am making green and blue coordinates 0. Then PLT dot ytix. Ytix is y-axis, range of n, like how we did earlier. PLT dot ytix, range of n. PLT dot xtix, again range of n. PLT dot xtix, PLT dot ytix, PLT dot title. We will say red component. Only the red component is visible here. PLT dot the important function IMShow in bracket R comma interpolation is equal to nearest, and then PLT dot show. Let us see the first image. Let us see the first image. See, we got only the red. Red is coming as our image. We have inputted the created matrix, 4-column 3 matrix, 4 matrices of 4 into 3 into this figure. This is a red component figure. Generally, if you are looking at the coordinates, R will be 0, G would be 1, and B would be 2. RGB coordinates, R is equal to 0, G is equal to 1, B is equal to 2. These are inbuilt into the syntax. These are inbuilt into the syntax, RGB syntax. R is equal to 0, G is equal to 1, B is equal to 2. So we have set green and blue coordinates equal to 0. So we got the red color. Now if I want the green color, let us say I want only the green color. That means we have to set red and blue coordinates equal to 0. So what I will do is I will copy this thing, Control C, and paste it down, Control V. First change the R to G. And again change the R to G and change the component to 0. So we are setting red and blue coordinates to 0 and change the name to green component and change the insure to G. Okay, so this is the second image we are going to create. Okay, we have to give the PLT subplot also command, that is also important. PLT dot subplot 142. PLT dot subplot 142 and then run the PLT dot show. Oh, I made a mistake somewhere. Name 0. I think I pressed O instead of 0. Sometimes I do also make mistakes like this. Green component. See here. So using these simple changes, I just changed R to G and changed 1 to 0 in the setting of the ticks. And rest of all same. It just created a green component image. All right, shall I move forward? Now we have to try setting up the blue. I need blue component. You only try blue component. I want the next subplot, PLT dot subplot 143. I want the blue component. Only blue. So B is equal to C dot copy. We are copying the matrix again into B. Okay, then you copy this one. Control C. You can copy all. Why only that? Control C and paste them. Control V. Change the G to B, and this has to be 0, 1. 0, 1, and instead of G, make it B, and instead of green, make it blue component. See, you got the blue component. Simplest thing. Once you do it, it's very simple. The coding requirement is also very, a lot of people think image processing is very difficult in Python. It's not. If you understand the logic of the matplotlib and if you understand the basic NumPy arrays, you can do image processing very easily in Python. I see most of the people miss this NumPy for image processing and directly jump into deep learning and all, and they will look at, oh, I don't understand what is this np.arrange, what is this np.linspace. So I always tell my students, see boss, don't jump directly into deep learning. First do the basics. This NumPy and Matplotlib are two essential things which you need to know before we jump into image processing and deep learning. So otherwise you will see this np.arrays coming in between, conversion and reshaping. So what is this np.reshape? Why should we do it? So all those questions will be answered if you plan a session, if you go through a session of basic NumPy for image processing. Then all your doubts will be clarified. You can work on any type of image processing. Now let us actually print what is that C, what we have created. We have created something called C, right? Now what does that look like? What does that look like? So you can take the X range tricks and Y range states and these three without the RGB and all the things. I will simply say C, what we have created, we have C, right? C and nearest, and we are just running the image, the C matrix. Okay, without any RGB change. Let us see what is this actual about. Okay, so then we have the last one, plt.show. So let us, we should get all the 4 images in one go. See, okay, this is RGB mix. I forgot to name it. This is RGB mix of all 4. So you can see the 4th image. Actually, see, if you don't change the RGB, if you keep the RGBs as it is, you will get the color like this. A mix of colors of RGB. Without I just didn't change anything. I just plotted the C matrix. I just plotted the C matrix which we have created. Okay, all of you got understood the context of the RGBs in terms of image processing. This is very important. RGBs are very important in image processing. We convert the images into grayscale images or RGB images. That way it will be easy for processing. Okay, can I move ahead? Okay. Now let us read the image which you have saved as test PNG. Actually, how this process work is, let us say image underscore array is equal to plt dot im read in brackets single quote test dot png. Test.png. We have saved in our folder a image called test.png, right? Which we created in the top. I am importing the data and I want to see how this image is converted into an array. Print image underscore array. See, we got the values of the array. So how that image was created, that image will be converted into numbers. This is what image processing is all about. You read the images into the system and then you convert them into NP arrays. So this IM read will convert the image into NP arrays. Convert image into NP dot arrays. So this is the most important thing. You cannot process the image. You have to convert them into numbers. And that numbers have to be in array format. Then only we can process them in image processing. A lot of people think images are processed. No, images are converted into arrays and these arrays will be processed. These arrays will be processed. Okay, you understood, right? How the images will be read and then how they are converted into arrays. Okay, can I move ahead? Participants, can I move ahead, please? Now, let us understand something about RGB. RGB coordinates are represented by integers, are represented by integers, particularly positive integers. You don't see any negative number here, right? If you go through the matrix above, you don't see any negative numbers. So RGB coordinates are represented by positive integers in range. The range of RGB would be 0 to 255. Again, I see a lot of questions coming in. Sir, why we should divide the thing with 255? Because the lowest value of RGB coordinate would be 0. The maximum value of a RGB coordinate would be 255. So RGB coordinates are represented by positive integers in the range of 0 and 25. Now, generally for faster image processing, we need to convert integers into floats. We need to convert them into float in the range of, we need to convert them into the float in the range of 0.0 to 1.0. So generally, we can directly use the RGB coordinates as it is. The only thing is it will take longer time to process, or we can convert the coordinates which you see in drop into values between 0.1 to 0.0 to 1.0. How we can do that? This can be done by dividing with 255. Dividing the matrix with 255, you can automatically convert it. So that is the reason why we divided into divide the matrix into 255, because that will be easy for us. It will be easy for the algorithm to process. It will be easy for the algorithm to process. So that is why we need to convert. Okay. So we have imported the test image. Let us convert it. Test1 is equal to image underscore array. We call it as image underscore array divided by 255. Print test1. See, it converted them into smaller values. It converted them into smaller decimal values. Now we can see it also. So we can see the image also very easily. by using the PLT command. So let us say PLT dot IM show test1 PLT dot show. Oh, it lost the colors completely, huh? So it became a blank. See, it became a blank. Actually, we should have some image. Then only we can see it. A good image can be taken and read into it, and then we should do it. That way we can see some output. Because of the smaller values, it is not able to display. But if we have a proper image, we can do it actually. Okay, but this is why we do. So the context here is you need to understand why we have to divide the values with 255. That is the agenda here. So why 255? Because RGB coordinates are represented by positive range integers in the range of 0 to 255. For faster image processing, we need to convert these integers into float in the range of 0 to 1. And this can be achieved by dividing with 255. So dividing with 255 will help you do that. Okay, so that is one part of our analysis. Now, images can be modified by changing the NumPy arrays. So you can change the NumPy arrays and then you can thereby you can modify the images. So this is also very interesting aspect of the NumPy. You can change the NumPy image by playing with the NumPy arrays. By playing with the NumPy arrays, you can change the modify the image. Okay, take for example plt dot figure. I think we have set the figure size. Let it go with that figure size. For I in range of 1 comma 5 colon plt dot subplot open bracket 2 comma 2 comma I 2 comma 2 comma I x is equal to 1 minus 0.2 into I 1 minus 0.2 sorry into I minus 1 into I minus 1 plt dot axis plt dot axis. We will off the axis. We don't need the axis, so we'll say off plt dot title open bracket single quote x is equal to curly braces colon dot 1f close curly braces dot format of x plt dot im show plt dot im show test into x test into x. Then you come out of it and say plt dot show. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to take different values between 0 and 1. So for modifying, if we multiply a array, what basically we are trying to do is multiply the np array, multiply the np dot array by a number, by a number between, by a number between 0 and 1, we can modify the image, or simply what change it is being. You can see here. Now you can see the image of test is not defined out. Oh, okay. We have to forgot the import the test. So I am read. We forgot the reading the test. Sorry. So first we have to read it. So test is equal to plt dot im read in bracket test dot png. See how the colors can be changed. See, x is equal to 1.0, this color, x is equal to 0.8, this color, x is equal to 0.6, this color, x is equal to 0.4. You can see how the color fades. You can see how the color fades by between 0 and 1. The color fades. So you can modify the image. You can modify the image by using a number between 0 and 1, and then the color automatically starts fading. Okay, all of you got this, understood the importance, how the color can be modified by using values between 0 and 1. We are not using any big values. We are multiplying the NP array with values between 0 and 1. And you can see the X values starting from 1 to decreasing to 0.4. Okay, can I move forward or you want me to wait? All right, shall I move forward? Can participants please confirm, should I move forward or should I wait? All right. See, let us import another image and see how this the matrix of NP arrays is calculated. From SK image, import data. From SK image, import data. Okay. So there is a sample data in this sklearn image processing. Okay. Now, camera is equal to data dot camera. There's an image of a cameraman. Okay, there is an image of cameraman. Print camera. So let us see what we are going to see. See, we are seeing the sorry. These are the metrics. PLT dot IM show camera. PMT dot IM show camera. PLT dot show. I'll remove them. You can see the matrix, right? There are large values here. Okay. So I'm just removing the print command and see what is the actual image. So this is the image. This is the image of a cameraman. This is the image of a cameraman. From SK image, import data, and then camera is equal to data.camera, plt.imshow. This is the actual image. So you can see the image, plt.show, the image of a cameraman. Okay. So all of you got the image? So now let us see print type of camera. Print type of camera. So what is the type of camera? NumPy array. It is a NumPy ND array. Okay. Now print camera dot shape. What is the shape of the image? It says 5 by 12, 512. It's a very large image. 512 by 512 image. It's a 512 by 512 image. Print camera dot size. Multiplication of 512 by 512 is 262, 144. It is thus multiplying 512 by 512. It is a very large image. Okay. Now it's an RGB image, right? You can see it's an RGB image. Print camera dot min. And also print camera dot max. So we are finding the min of the camera and the max of the camera. See, the minimum of the camera is 0. The maximum of camera is 255. It's an RGB image. So RGB images will have 0 to 255 as the range. It will have the 0 to 255 as the range. So we are just seeing an image, how it can be read into Python and how NumPy helps you to reduce the what you call understand the numbers. Print camera dot mean. Print camera dot mean. So the mean of the image 118.31400. So in the back end, the image is already converted into numbers. See, these all points are signifying the fact that the moment you read the image, it will automatically converted into np.arrays. It will be converted into NumPy arrays. And these NumPy arrays will be processed using NumPy package, using Matplotlib, and any other advanced packages. If you want to do a deep learning, you can do a deep learning package. So this is how we can look at it. All right. So this is what happens. If the moment you import an image, it will be automatically converted into data, which will be nothing but np.arrays. NumPy arrays will be created. Okay. So this proves that the image is not an image. It is a set of np.arrays. NumPy arrays. Okay. Now let us do an actual image processing example. I want you to take through an actual image processing example. Okay. Import Keras. So Keras is a package for deep learning which uses TensorFlow. Google's TensorFlow is used by Keras package as the backend. So import Keras. Keras is a deep learning library, both in R and in Python. And Keras uses Google's TensorFlows as the backend. Okay, it converts the arrays into Google TensorFlow, and then it will process them. Now, from Keras, sorry, why is it going up? From Keras dot data sets import MNIST. Import MNIST. So what is this MNIST? I'll show you this MNIST data. MNIST is a handwritten digits data. It's a handwritten digit, 60,000 images. So it's a data of 60,000 images of 20 by 28 by 28 pixel, which are there. See here. This is the handwritten digits. So the data is the image of digits written by different people in different handwritings, 0 to 9. 0 to 9. This is a very popular handwritten digits data set, which we can use to predict. If the number is given to it, it will automatically predict based on the number what is that actual number. So Keras will be helping us to build a deep learning model. Now, from Keras dot models, Keras dot models, import sequential. Sequential. Why it went off? Import sequential. From Keras dot layers, import dense, comma, dropout, comma, flatten. Okay, and then from Keras dot layers, import convolution 2D, convolution 2D, comma, max pooling 2D, two-dimensional max pooling 2D, max pooling 2D. So from Keras import backend as K. So what I am trying to do here is I am going to, just a second, I will show you the commands again. I am trying to build a convolution neural network. Convolution neural network. So a convolution 2D convolution neural network looks like this. A convolution neural network is a neural network. It is a neural network. A typical neural network will be looking like this. These are the inputs. These are the hidden layer where the processing will be done. So this is the structure of the 2D convolution network. So the image is a 28 by 28 pixel will be put into a max pooling kernel so that it will see here. It will use ReLU function, the activation functions, and using these kernels, it will keep on increasing and decreasing the layers in such a manner that the accuracy levels improves. So if you look at any what we call neural network, the neural network will have input layers, hidden layers, and you have within the hidden layers what we call the activation functions. We have these activation functions, and these activation functions will do the processing. Will do the processing. That is one thing you need to understand. Just let me uh, explain to you in little bit of detail. See, a typical so pointing to arrow. A typical neural network will look like this. A typical neural network will look like this. There will be inputs like this. 1, 2, 3 inputs will be there. Let us say this is your input 1, input 2, and input 3. And then you will have a hidden layer with neurons. This is hidden layer with neurons 3, 4, and 5. Let us say these are all neurons, 5 neurons in hidden layer. And you can have another hidden layer, 1, 2, 3 neurons, and then you have your output. This is your output 0 or whatever. 0 or 1 is the output. 0 or 1 is your output. Now, each of these input will send information to this hidden layer neurons. Every hidden layer neuron will get information from all the inputs. See, all the input has to send the information to all the neurons. Similarly, this will send information here, this will send information here, then this will send information here. It will also send to this neuron and to this neuron. Similarly, this will send information to this, 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 and this. And from this, it will go to this, to what to call this, and this. See, this also will send it here, to this, and to this. Similarly, this will push information here and here. So basically, this is a complex network of neurons, and these neurons are the processing elements. Basically, this is one hidden layer with neurons, and this is the second hidden layer with neurons. So basically, I will call this as 3, comma 5, one hidden layer with 5 neurons, second hidden layer with 2 neurons, and one network. 3 inputs with 2 hidden layers of 5 neurons and 3 neurons and 1 output. So this is the neuron. This is the neural network. Now, these neural networks in the hidden layers, the neurons in hidden layer have something called activation functions. The neurons in the hidden layer will have activation functions. And these activation functions will process the data. They have these activation functions. And the prominent activation functions which are there for neural networks, the prominent activation functions are so there are many activation functions which are being developed. The popular are sigmoid, the logistic regression function, 1 by 1 plus e to the power of minus z. Then you have another popular function called ReLU, rectified linear unit, ReLU, which is max of 0 comma z. That means if anything is negative, it will convert it into 0. Then we have one more function called hyperbolic tangent, tan h, also called as hyperbolic tangent. This is also an activation function. I forgot the formula of tan h. Let me just check it once. So tan h would be hyperbolic function. The formula of would be e to the power of z. So tan h hyperbolic tangent would be e to the power of z, minus e to the power of minus z divided by e to the power of z plus e to the power of minus z. E is exponential. 2.781 something. This is the hyperbolic tangent. There are many of these activation functions which are widely used. So these activation functions will exist in the neurons of the hidden layer, and then they process the data. So this is how the neural networks work. And the neural networks have the ability to self-correct. They have the ability to self-correct and self-adjust. That is what we call it as backward propagation. Backward propagation means it adjusts the weights. Actually, what happens in the neural network is initially it randomly assigns weights to all these connectors. These connectors will be assigned random weights. Okay, and these output connectors also random weights will be assigned. These output, sorry. So these here, so what happens is random weights will be assigned. So this place, these three and these all connectors which you are seeing here, random weights will be assigned. Random weights will be assigned by the algorithm. Okay, and these random weights will be between 0 and 1. Now, once it does the processing and it finds that the actual value is wrong, then it starts the process of backward propagation. So, if the neural network after computation finds it wrong, once neural network finds the prediction wrong, it starts at correcting the weights. Correcting the random weights All of them. It cannot miss not even a single weight. All the weights must be corrected. This process, we call it as backward propagation. The process of correcting the random weights to reduce the error, we call it as backward propagation. We call this as backward propagation. So the backward propagation is the method of adjusting the weights in such a manner the error is reduced. And how this backward propagation uses another thing called gradient descent. You might have heard about this also very frequently, gradient descent algorithm. Now, gradient descent algorithm says, do not reduce the weights in larger quantities, always reduce the weights in smaller proportions. Let us say we have iterations on x-axis and we have errors on the y-axis, and let us say we are trying to reach a global minimum. We can't reach the error as zero, we can only reduce the error to a certain extent. Or let me uh, bring it down further so that we can understand further. So we want to reduce the error so that it reaches a global minimum. Okay. Now what gradient descent says is reduce the weights. Let us say this is weight 1. Reduce it in smaller quantities. As you go on, reduce it even with further smaller quantities. So, and smaller quantities. As you reduce, go with very smaller reduction levels. By reducing the weights in smaller proportions, you can reach your global minimum. If you reduce the weights in larger proportions, instead of reducing, this will jump to the side and it will start increasing the error. So what gradient descent says is reduce weights in smaller proportions. If reduced in larger proportions, the error will increase further. The error will increase further. Error will go up. So that is why gradient descent algorithm says reduce the weights in smaller quantities as you reach the target. Thereby you will reach the global minimum, or else if you try to reduce the errors in larger quantities, it will jump to the other side and it will remove the what we call, it will increase the errors. Okay. So this is what gradient descent algorithm in neural networks is all about. Okay. So you have a basic understanding of neural networks because we are going to run a neural network on the data. Any doubts in neural networks? Any doubts in the neural networks? Shall I proceed? So I'll share the notes with you today, don't worry. So these are the neural networks which we are talking about. Okay. Now let's go back to our thing which we are doing. We are trying to build a neural network on the convolution neural network on our data. So for building our neural network, we need these functions. We need these values. Oh, sorry, we need these functions to be imported from Keras. So import Keras. From Keras, import sequential, import dense, dropout, flatten, all this. Okay. So once we have imported all these things, then we can build our data. So x underscore train, comma, y underscore train, comma, x underscore test, sorry, x underscore test, comma, y underscore test is equal to So I am creating two data sets, train data set and test data set. MNIST dot load underscore data. MNIST load underscore data. So what I am doing is I am bringing the data here. Okay, it has downloaded the data. Okay, now we will reshape our data. X underscore train is equal to X underscore train dot reshape. Why? To fasten the process of computing. X underscore train dot shape square bracket 0, because that is the values. There are two columns in the data, 0 column and first column. First column will be the predictors. The second column would be the 0 column will be the actual pixel values. So 28 comma 28 comma 1. So we are shaping it into 28 by 28 pixel. Similarly, X underscore test is equal to X underscore test dot reshape open bracket X underscore test square bracket 0 comma 28 comma 28 comma 1. So we are reshaping the data. Okay, we have reshaped the data and input underscore shape. The input shape is equal to, it's a tuple of 28 comma 28 comma 1 pixel. So X underscore train, we are reshaping it into 28 by 28 pixel. Test data also we are reshaping into 28 pixel. Input shape is also a 28 by 28 pixel. Oh, we got an error. Only integer scalars can be converted to arrays. What is the error we are getting here? Is pointing to test data. Did I download the data? Let me check. X underscore train, Y underscore train, X underscore test, Y underscore test. Reshape, reshape, X underscore reshape, X underscore test, dot shape. I forgot shape here. That is the problem. See, I forgot the shape. X dot shape is this. So we have re-inputted what we call, we have converted into 28 by 28 pixel. So we have to do the conversion of train also. Y underscore train is equal to keras dot utils dot to underscore categorical y underscore train comma num underscore classes. So same thing we have to do for test also. Y underscore, sorry, small y underscore test is equal to keras dot utils dot to underscore categorical open bracket y underscore test comma num underscore classes. Okay, number of classes is 10. So we are just converting it into a categorical variable. Oh, num underscore classes is equal to 10. Okay. Now we will convert the data. We will convert the data. X underscore train is equal to X underscore train dot as type in bracket float 32. Float 32. We are converting we are reducing the size. X underscore test is equal to X underscore test dot as type in bracket single quote float 32. Float 32. We have converted it into float 32. Then we will divide it by 255. X underscore train divide equals to 255. X underscore test divide equals to 255. So we are reducing the values to between 0 and 1. And we also converted the integers to floats. We have also converted the integers to floats. So this process will reduce the size of the data so that we can run the algorithm faster. We run the algorithm faster. Okay. Now, let us start building our neural network. I will start the process of building our neural network. Batch underscore size is equal to 128. Batch underscore size is equal to 128. Epochs is equal to 10. So epochs is one full cycle of forward propagation and backward propagation. So the whole one epoch is equal to, first it will calculate, and then if it is error, it will go backward propagation. This whole cycle is called as epoch. Okay. Model is equal to sequential brackets. Then model dot add convolution 2D in brackets 32 comma kernel underscore size is 3 comma 3 comma activation is equal to ReLU. We are using ReLU activation. Activation is equal to ReLU, comma input underscore shape is equal to input underscore shape. Input underscore shape is equal to input underscore shape. Okay, input underscore shape is equal to input underscore shape. Then we will add the second thing. Model, that means in the first network, we have 32 neurons. In the first network, we had 32 neurons. Model dot add in bracket convolution 2D in bracket 64 neurons. I am adding 64 neurons in bracket 3 comma 3 kernel size comma activation is equal to ReLU. Again, I am taking the ReLU activation. Next, model dot add open bracket max pooling 2D pool underscore size is equal to a 2 by 2 filter. It ultimately uses a 2 by 2 filter to reduce the large matrix into smaller matrix. Model dot add, we are asking for dropout. Dropout means those neurons which are not adding any value to the calculation will be dropped out. When I say dropout, I am dropping out the neurons in the hidden layer. 25% of those neurons which are not contributing to our model, drop them out. Okay, so model dot add, we have flatten. We will flatten the model. Flatten is brackets. Then we have model dot add dense. dense 256, comma, again activation is equal to ReLU. Activation is equal to ReLU, rectified linear unit. Again, model dot add. We are asking this time to drop out 0.50, drop off 50% neurons which are not giving any value addition. Model dot add dense, the final model dense, final layer, num underscore classes. It has to generate probabilities for the number of classes, comma, activation is equal to softmax. So what softmax will do is it will generate 10 probabilities for 0 to 9. The sum of probabilities will be equal to 1. So the digit that has the highest probability will be predicted. The digit that has the higher probability will be predicted. So that is what it will do. So activation, the final layer, because we have to predict 10, 0 to 9 digits. So your output is 10 will be there. So for all 10, it has to generate probabilities. The cell that has the highest probability will be the predicted value. So that is what we have defined our comprehensive neural network. Now we will compare the model. Model.compile loss is equal to keras dot losses dot categorical underscore cross entropy, comma, optimizer is equal to keras dot optimizers dot ada delta, comma, matrix is equal to square bracket single quote accuracy, which is calculated from the confusion matrix. So we have compiled the model. Now once you compile the model, we are ready to test the model. We are ready to train the model. So now model dot fit open bracket x underscore train, comma, y underscore train, comma, epochs is equal to epochs, comma, verbose is equal to true, verbose is equal to 1, comma, validate is equal to x underscore test, y underscore test. Validation underscore data, validation underscore data is equal to x underscore test, comma, y underscore test. So this should fit our model. This should fit our model. So let us run the model. So it is running epoch 1. Because this is a very comprehensive model, on a normal system, it will take a lot of power. So by using this Google Colab, we can significantly fasten the process. We can significantly fasten the process. Otherwise, when I ran this MNIST 5 years back, it almost took me 1 hour. It almost took me 1 hour to process the data. Now also see here, despite having a higher RAM and all those things, so still it is taking time to calculate. So it will calculate the epochs wise, and then it will estimate the time, how much time it is taking. I think It will take around about 3 minutes or something like that, or 2 minutes to process the data. And we have also asked it to drop out certain models, so it will also drop out certain things. I should have given only epochs 5. Oh, it's already 7:15. So while it is running, let me explain the neural network again. So we are using a neural network to predict the digits, handwritten digits. MNIST is a very popular digit. There is MNIST fashion also. If you are using this MNIST only digits, there is also something called MNIST fashion also. That's a very interesting data set, MNIST fashion data set. Here you have to predict. These are the predictions in the fashion set. Pullover, trouser, bag, coat, trouser one, ankle boot, pullover. So there are images of different categories of products, MNIST fashion data set. I think all the types of this is, I think, this is the complete sample. See, different types of footwear, different types of all will be there. This is a very larger data compared to the handwritten data. This is even more data which you need to process. This is called MNIST fashion data set. This is even larger than your handwritten data set. So you have that fashion data set also. If you have time, you can use the same code to predict the data sets also. So in all these things, the reshaping and all is based on NumPys. The reshaping, the conversion of them into pixels and all these things is done by as type float conversion, then dividing by 255. This is where the NumPy package comes into picture. And if you look at the model I have built the first layer with 32 neurons and activation is ReLU. The second layer I have built with 64 neurons. Then I done a max pooling 2D to reduce the size of the pool by using a 2x2 filter. And once you do this 2x2 filter, you will identify some of these neurons are of no use. It will drop out those neurons. Then it will flatten the network. Then again, we are doing a 256 neuron network with an activation of ReLU. Then we are dropping out 50% neurons which are not generating proper information. Then in the final layer, we are giving the output layer of 10 cells which have activation as softmax. So softmax, what it will do is it will take 0 to 9 as outputs, and it will, for each of that, it will calculate probability. The digit that has the highest probability will be the final prediction of that particular digit. So that is what we have done it. Then we have given the optimizers and the metrics as accuracy, and now it is running the epochs one by one. As the epochs go down, the time will be reduced. So the first epoch took 168 seconds. So, and it is having a loss of 2% loss means 98% accuracy. So 2% loss means it is around 98% accuracy. So this is the process of image processing, which is done using NumPy and other deep learning packages. Okay. So any doubts you have? You can ask me now. While the thing is running, I think it will take time to run. But you have any doubts in the model or anything else, you can ask me now. This is building a deep learning neural network, not even a normal machine learning neural network. We are building a deep learning neural network. And the images are of very large sizes. We have reduced the image size, we have reduced them computationally, and then we have used them for processing into a deep learning network. So this is the importance of image processing, where you can use it on diagnostic scans, medical scans. Lot of utilities are there in these neural networks. Or I think now the whole world is moving towards neural networks only. So neural networks have a very high utility. See, the time keeps coming down as the layers go because the neurons are being eliminated. Some of the neurons which are of no use, it is trying to eliminate them and it is trying to reduce the pressure on the computing thing. So this is one model which we have to know. So this is all facilitated by NumPy and Matplotlib. And in the backend, Keras uses TensorFlow. TensorFlow is Google's framework for deep learning. So TensorFlow is the Google's framework for deep learning. So all the deep learning uses TensorFlow as the backend. Even this Keras package in Python or Keras package in R, both use TensorFlow as the backend. So tensors, that means it from arrays to tensors. Tensors are slightly different. If you are looking at what is this tensors all about, so see here. A tensor is a n-dimensional array. It is even larger than, sorry, it is a container for data in neural network. So this is a thing, rank 0 tensor, rank 1 tensor, rank 2 matrix. So now we have used this one, rank 2 tensor, which is a matrix, rank 3 tensor, and rank 4 tensor. So tensor is an n-dimensional array of data, which is widely used in neural networks, particularly for deep learning. So our arrays are also being converted into tensors in the neural network calculation. So tensors are developed by this TensorFlow technology is developed by Google. So Google uses these tensors. So if you look at the tensor structure, scalar, vector, matrix, and a tensor. You can look at it in further also, what this tensor represents. See here. So matrix is 1, 2, 3, 4. It is a 2 by 2 matrix. A tensor will have multiple matrices inside. See the shape of a tensor. Scalar is 1, vector is 1, 2, matrix is 2 by 2, and then see here. There are multiple matrices within a tensor. So that is why the processing capability of tensors is very, very high. So what this Keras will do is it will convert the NumPy arrays which we are giving into tensors. And these tensors are used for processing of data. Okay, this is the understanding of tensors. A lot of people ask me what is the difference between matrix and a tensor. It is visible. Matrix is a singular matrix, whereas in a tensor you have multiple matrices within a tensor. It's a multi-dimensional array. So n-dimensional array. You can give it n dimensions. So here we get is given 4 dimensions. See here, it is a 4-dimensional array because there are 4 different matrices inside this. So this is the process of neural networks. And this is what NumPy is used for image processing. So NumPy for image processing is very interesting. Without this, if you go to image processing, you will have a lot of doubts. But how NumPy helps you to clarify, this is a very interesting thing. So it will now all your doubts will be clarified in terms of why do we need to reshape the data, why we need to convert integers to floats, then why should we divide it by 255, why tensors are better than the arrays. So all these doubts will be I hope will be have been clarified for you in this session. So now you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Because this will take another, I think, 5 to 10 minutes for completing because we have in 4th epoch. There are 6 more epochs to go. Any doubts you have? So tomorrow we will discuss pandas. The other library which is important in Python program is pandas. So pandas will deal with data frames, merging, joining, concatenating, all those things will be dealt with tomorrow in pandas. So tomorrow we will discuss pandas library, which is also very important in Python programming. So guys, you have any doubts? You can ask me now. Okay, any doubts you have? Yes, in financial data, Sharik sir, we use LSTM networks. So there is a lot of research being done in financial data predicting stock prices. Particularly for prediction of stock prices, we have this long-term, short-term memory networks. So I have seen a lot of research papers and a lot of people are doing PhDs on this LSTM networks. So if you look at LSTM, long-term neural network, this is an LSTM network. So you can see LSTM neural networks are used in finance. See, for time series prediction. So you know finance is a time series prediction, right? So finance is a time series data. So we have these LSTM neural networks which are being widely used in investment banks, and I have seen a lot of papers being published or PhDs being done on LSTM networks for financial time series prediction. It can be, when I say time series prediction, it can be stock market or it can be what you call sales data, it can be weather data, it can be anything. So we are using LSTM architecture or LSTM neural networks in predicting stock prices. So LSTM neural network, LSTM networks for stock predictions or commodity predictions for stock prediction, LSTM network for stock prediction. So I have seen a lot of researchers and PhDs being done on predicting stock prices using LSTM neural networks. Combination also LSTM with recurrent neural network. So you can see a lot of these are being used here. So predict stock prices with LSTM. You can predict crude oil prices, gold prices, or precious metals, anything. So LSTM network is widely being used in what we call financial data. Financial data. So this is, I think they're using WTW. Why this why is going such a long output? So here. So we will reshape the error and build a sequential model. So same thing. So see, you have to reshape the data. So you have to convert the stock prices into matrix, then to arrays, and then you build the sequential model, LSTM model, and then it will, once you fit the model, it will give you the predicted model. So it will predict for future. The predictions have some robust accuracy. So as far as LSTMs within the time series prediction, they have robust accuracy. They are being used in industry also. So I have seen some places where people are using LSTM to predict time series data. So you can use neural networks in financial data also, particularly LSTM networks, or you can also use a deep learning network also. You can model a deep learning network also and then use it, compare those networks also. But LSTM is more preferred, long short-term memory network. So that is widely preferred for stock prediction. And there are a lot of variants also, LSTMs with RNNs and LSTMs with different optimizers, and all those things are also there. So any other doubts you have, you can ask me now. So I'll send this PDF notebook once the process of computation is completed. I'll convert it into PDF and then we will email you the PDF file to all the participants, and also upload the video into the Google Drive folder. And tomorrow we will discuss pandas. So any other doubts you have? If you don't have any doubts, you can leave the session. I'll send these things as soon as the computation is done to your email IDs. Thank you all. Thank you all for participating. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be very easy, pandas only. Okay, shall I end the session? So the recording of the video will start, converting of the video will start. Any other doubts you have, you can ask me now, or else we'll end the session. So the video conversion process will start.